The American dream has become a nightmare. Signs of the time are on cardboard on corners in town. Like a cancer that's silently spreading, there's an unspoken fear we're on our way down. We must take America back, Main Street to Wall Street, cities and states, Washington, D.C. Before it's too late, there's not long. We need leaders who lead us, not stick us and bleed us, then ransom our future and our children's, that's wrong. We must take America back as liberty weeps, our forefathers spin in their graves. Pray God will bless some way out of this mess. We must take America back.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is the National Intel Report. I'm your host, John Stadtmiller, here with you on this Tuesday, 13th day of November 2012. And I have Paul Drockton. Paul, are you there?
I am. How you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Under very overcast skies, chilly Texas. Winter's finally here. Well, fall is anyhow. And the leaves are still on the trees. And I've got ranting Andy Hoffman. Hello, Andy.
Hey there, John.
How you doing?
Excellent.
Question for you guys. And I've been trying to figure this one out. The day after Obama gets elected, on November 7th, the market tanks. Here's my question to you guys. Since we've got the bailout majesty of all time, puts George Bush as kind of in the piker category, although he got the ball rolling with bailouts, $700 billion worth. That was just the tip of the iceberg. Then we have Obama that he rolls in and bails out 17, 18, 19 trillion dollars. Who the heck knows? But here's my question. If the United States government is in with the banks to help prop up the stock market, why did it take a dump the next day?
Well, John, when you look at the stock market, people think of the stock market as if there's all these little guys out there conducting these transactions. That's not how it really works. It's institutional investors that can control most of the money that's there. So basically what happens is when they bring the market down, and that really is, it's pure manipulation. The reason it's coming down is because someone's making a profit. And the people that are profiting are the 1% that are shorting the market through put options. So put options you can take out against company stocks, but you can also take put out options against the indexes that are out there, which means that all that wealth that is in the stock market is simply being transferred literally to the 1% outside the system. So I look at it as looting. I don't look at it as a response to anything politically. It's just an excuse to loot. And I think that looting is going to get a whole lot worse here. I think they're going to start ramping it up, and you can hear the threats. I mean, there was someone on Mark Faber on CNBC is predicting a 20% correction in the stock market. I think that's weak sauce compared to what these guys are really going to do.
Right, and from my perspective, I don't even pay much attention to the stock market anymore. I call the Dow Jones propaganda average, and I've spent a lot of time charting how it does almost the same thing every day because the forces of government and their algorithms pretty much control what happens. But that said, they don't have 100% control. And I've been writing the past month or two about what I call election lockdown, where we've seen no volatility in the markets. They're not allowed to go down. Gold is not allowed to go up. And naturally, when the election's over, they have to exhale.
All right. We've got to take this break here. Seems to be a little game being played. The gold, hide the gold. See, here it is, but no, you can't count it. We'll be right back.
Would you like to reclaim lost health? Are supplements only getting you so far? Hey folks, my name is Franklin. I had a heart attack in 2006 that left me with a damaged valve working at only 20% capacity and odds against being here now. Then I found RNA Drops, a patented complement formula that creates perfect cells in your body. My perfect cells helped me to regain heart function and more. What could your body do with perfect cells? For a limited time, you can find out for free. Go to franklinsrnadrops.com and get a free mini bottle, valued at $50 on its way. Just pay shipping and handling. While you're there, you can view our growing line of products and hear amazing stories of what these products have done for others. My story is there as well. That's franklinsrnadrops.com. Start reclaiming your health today by giving your body what it needs. I cannot wait to hear what your perfect cells are doing for you. Thank you.
Herbal Healer Academy's new summer specials. Our 500 parts per million colloidal silver, all sizes on sale. Organic liquid iodine, liquid cal, mag, vitamin D, CoQ10 with Hawthorne, colon enhancer, Super 2, natural laxative, our exceptional product Connexin, memory power, and Super Male and Femplex. All on sale for the summer at herbalhealer.com. Also, 10% off on the HHA survival course. This is an important time to have this information. Might save your life. Nation's leader in supplying quality natural medicine and education. herbalhealer.com. Free online newsletter. Quality natural medicine supplier since 1988. We ship the same day you place your order. Free 128-page catalog with your first order. Go to herbalhealer.com today. herbalhealer.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Get ready for Real Talk Radio. You're listening to the National Intel Report with your host, John Stadtmiller.
Well, there seems to be a little problem with the Fed Reserve Bank in New York, gentlemen, that there's many countries around the world, specifically I think the latest was Germany. They wanted an accurate counting of their holdings sitting in the Fed vault in New York City, but they were told, no, your gold's there, but no, you cannot see it. Andy, what's the latest on this one?
Well, it's getting pretty dicey with Germany because right now they're playing semantics about whether their inspectors are allowed to even look at the gold. Because clearly they don't have it. I mean, there's no doubt that swaps have been done. It's been proven by James Turk and others that there were swaps done between the Bundesbank and the Fed over the years. So there's no doubt in my mind there's less of that gold there than there's supposed to be. And of course, the Fed may have actually, commandeered some of it themselves. Look, we're never going to know. They're never going to tell us outright the gold's not there. But the fact is that Germany and many other nations, so far we've seen Venezuela, the Netherlands, Romania, this is all in the past year, getting worried because they know their only real wealth may not be in their hands and may not still exist.
Well, and I have never heard, this is a Federal Reserve Bank. This is a bank that does business with the corporations of the world, but also private sector as well, for holdings. So when a bank, the whole idea of putting something in a bank is to keep it safe. The whole idea of keeping it safe and keeping things above board and legitimate is to have an actual accounting. So, Andy, what you're saying to me is the people that have the holdings in that facility they want everything on the up and above board, and we want an accounting, and we need to check our account. And they're told no.
Right. Well, the Fed and the Treasury are famous for doing things that are not above board. When it comes to our own reserves, they haven't been audited since the 1950s, and they resist every Ron Paul's tried to get them audited, but they'll never happen because no one's ever going to be allowed into Fort Knox to see what's there or is not there. And there's been multiple admissions by Fed chairmen themselves that there have been swaps and sales of gold that's supposedly in reserve. So, there's nothing that's done above board with these guys. Look, the Federal Reserve, we just lent $16 trillion out between 2009 and 2010 without telling anyone. So why would anyone believe that the gold or anything else they're holding in custody for anyone else is accounted for properly?
Well, Andy, this sounds like a wacko conspiracy theory because I watched 007 Goldfinger back in 1963, and I saw the gold in there.
and I watched Die Hard, the Die Hard movie where there was gold there too.
and when we're using terms here, I want to make sure that people understand when we're talking swaps here. What exactly is that formula? What takes place?
Basically, the central banks, they have, if you can believe this, the IMF of all organizations has been charged with creating the international rules for accounting for central bank gold reserves. Why, I don't know, because the IMF likely has no gold themselves, just pledges from other banks. But the fact is, they allow the central banks to double count their gold, meaning if they own gold, they count it as reserves, but if they lend it out to somebody else, as part of what they call a swap agreement or a lease agreement, they're also allowed to continue to say that they own it, while the other person says that they own it too. Basically a lot of these things were done simply as like a carry trade. People they'd lend the gold out, take the proceeds and put them into treasuries. In some cases, they were simply done nefariously to hold the price down. But the fact is, we know a lot of that gold is gone via these transactions, and it's just a matter of how much. Will we ever find out how much? I don't know. But people should realize that any time someone says, oh, well, the U.S. has 8,133 tons of gold, that's only worth about $500 billion. If they had it, I don't believe they have any of it. But that's nothing. That's a drop in the bucket compared to $16 trillion of debt and $100 trillion of unfunded liabilities.
At what happened with the countries of China and in the Far East before Japan invaded, the Federal Reserve Bank sent individuals over there and said, give us your gold and we'll give you bonds, Federal Reserve bonds, in exchange, paper you can hold on to, you can flee with, and the Japanese won't get your gold, and they obviously went along with it. When the people tried to redeem those bonds, the Federal Reserve denied ever issuing them. So it's a big paper game. I mean, the bottom line is that all they need to do is say we never promised anything here, as Andy pointed out, and they get away with everything.
On Bloomberg this morning, I was shocked to see some people that were on that program saying, this quantitative easing and the bailouts and everything else, this thing is going to have dire consequences for our economy, of which we all know, because the way the government used to take in money to grab resources through taxes, IRS, phone taxes, gas taxes, you name it. However they can get their hands on it, they would. But prior to 2008, the last accounting, the government had to take in, whether it was through sale of treasuries, their bonds, whether it was through taxation, IRS, whatever means of cash flow they had to their Gozinta pile, we needed $3 billion. So prior to 2008, people were still buying treasuries. They were getting a fairly decent return on it. And then the foo-foo hit the air-moving device, and everything went to hell in a handbasket. They're now offering, I don't even think it's 1.5% on a 10-year treasury. And I'm hearing from some selected individuals, even on Bloomberg, that this has gone way beyond any beneficial traits or actions taken by the Fed. And the results are coming home to roost now. I'm sensing a little bit of uneasiness and a warning that it's not yet time to panic, but you may want to climb up on the windowsill of that 5-story building and get ready.
They're politicizing. I mean, this is political. This fiscal cliff it's based on whether or not Congress is going to be able to have money for its budget, and that is a dime compared to $1 million. I mean, if you take a look at what the national debt is, $15 trillion, and how long it took to get there, and as Andy pointed out, you take a look at the $16 trillion. And the audits I've seen show $32 trillion was given away by the Federal Reserve starting in 2007 and continuing. And basically, we've got another $222 trillion in outstanding liabilities when it comes to derivatives, all being guaranteed by FDIC. This thing is going to be, I can't even explain it. This is like a weapon of mass destruction times a gazillion. There's no way that anything's going to survive this.
Right. When it comes to the 10-year bond, which right now is yielding 1.59%, which is pretty close to its all-time low. Remember, in 2011, the Fed bought, I believe, 60% of all new issuance. And now that they've accelerated with Operation Twist and QE3 going on, who knows what they're buying. So you really can't even, you can't look at the Dow for reality. You certainly can't look at the 10-year note. Inflation is far higher than the government reports. And clearly, you're not being covered for that inflation with Treasury bonds. The reason that they need to keep this rate low is, one, because of the I just lost
exposure.
Right. One is because of the derivatives exposure, and two is because of all the Treasury debt that the government has. If it went up 1% here, you'd have an exponential increase in Treasuries. If you had a normalized 10-year interest rate like in Europe, then our budget deficit would triple or quadruple. So they have to keep it down here with the derivatives, and who knows, if they'll be able to do that. The fact remains, even with these record low interest rates, everything is falling apart. And by the way, they just, if you remember it last month with the QE3 announcement, they extended ZIRP out to mid-2015. Well, Janet Yellen today, she's the Federal Reserve Vice Chairman, just said, I think we need to move it to 2016. That's just 1 month later.
Well, go ahead, Paul.
I was just going to say, the thing people don't understand is and this is where I think the biggest wall is with helping people to understand, is they just don't understand what these people are capable of. And if you understand what these people are capable of doing, then everything else makes sense. I mean, these people have an agenda that goes beyond the economy. I mean, what they want is they want a cashless society, and the best way to get there is to get rid of cash. So they're going to destroy the dollar, and I am 1,000,000% convinced that they're going to take everybody that will go with them into a cashless society, and they want to be able to monitor every transaction in the name of monitoring terrorism, which basically is political dissent. They want to be able to assign people so much credit based on the service they provide to their New World Order. And the reality is that they don't want private transactions, period. They don't want private wealth. They want to own everything, and they want to give us what they believe we deserve. So it makes perfect sense. They're going to take away the economy we have right now because they can't control it.
Well, and I think we have a perception problem here. Most people in this country do not perceive, as you pointed out, Paul Drockton, that there is evil afoot. I don't think they want to get their minds wrapped around this monumental problem, because if they did, it would be more bad news. Now, it's one thing to have a neighbor having problems, losing a job, house gets confiscated, goes up for sale, but that's not them. But if they pay attention as to the reasons why that neighbor lost his house, not because he wasn't qualified to own it, because he doesn't have the money now in which to pay a mortgage, which has been sold off and God knows who owns it. Until it comes home to roost for that individual, It's the problem of the other guy.
Are you concerned about fluoride, chlorine, parasites, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Dalton ceramic water filters have been made continuously since 1827 and are used by disaster relief organizations and in third world countries to supply safe drinking water. Not only do we offer gravity filter systems, but also under the sink and countertop systems. Our replacement filters can be used to upgrade your existing system. And unlike some other filters on the market, Dalton filters do not have to be primed. For more information, call us at 800-696-1435, 800-696-1435, or order online at Dalton.com. That's DOULTON.com.
In an emergency situation, would you drink contaminated water? You could if you had the amazing LifeStraw from MyPatriotSupply.com. LifeStraw is the most advanced personal water filter available today. It filters contaminated water from almost any source. LifeStraw is lightweight and compact, perfect for hiking, camping, or in an emergency like a flood. LifeStraw is easy to clean, comes with a 1-year warranty, and has been used worldwide since 2005. Get the amazing LifeStraw personal water filter at MyPatriotSupply.com. Plus, check out Survival Seed Vault, 20 seed varieties for only $37.95, Tatler canning lids, long-term storable foods as low as $69.95, and much more at MyPatriotSupply.com. Enjoy stress-free shipping on all orders over $49. Call 866-229-0927 or visit MyPatriotSupply.com. That's 866-229-0927. MyPatriotSupply.com for emergency preparedness, self-reliance, and food independence.
Golden Stag Safaris invites you to hunt in one of Argentina's most beautiful scenarios. Enjoy the quietness of the Pampas and the 5-star accommodation lodge. Excellent food and wine included in your stay. All the while hunting big game in the Argentine Valley, an area known for having a wide range of game, excellent trophies, the biggest stags in South America, as well as many other species. All gold medal quality. One-on-one guided hunts, rental guns available with the highest quality scopes in every caliber, Land Rovers for transport, pick up at Buenos Aires Airport, and a private aircraft for charter is all available. Go to www.goldenstagsafaris.com to see photos and for more information. Again, www.goldenstagsafaris.com. All right, and speaking of bailouts, Tim Geithner's getting the heck out of town. Hillary Clinton is gone. Eric Holder, they're either going to burn him to the ground or he'll probably leave. He won't stick around for a second term. This guy's got more baggage than a Pullman car in the old railroad days. Geithner said it's going to be necessary to raise personal income tax rates on the wealthiest Americans. Now, they're classifying wealthiest now down to $250,000. $250,000 in today's money, folks, I don't know how far we've got to go back, but that could be 50 grand back in the 70s for all we know. I don't have my chart out on inflation, or should I properly put it, devaluation of the currency. But Obama is not prepared to extend these tax cuts. And if anybody is doing their homework, the leaders came in. We've already heard from John Bonnier. I'm not going to do a damn thing about Obamacare. We've got to get real close with the Democrats and come up with a budget. They're facing a $607 billion in automatic spending cuts. And these tax increases slated to take effect January 1st is not going to work. So they keep referring to the fiscal cliff. Gentlemen, how many years have people that were tracking their tax money and how the government just foolishly spent on things that they had no business doing in the first place, but $607 billion, I can think of one cut that they could do almost right away. It would take a while to wind it down, but I think they would have much, much more than $607 billion to cover this shortfall, which, by the way, if anybody was paying attention, and I don't give credence to George Bush on too many issues, but actually what the tax cuts did do, it actually gave the federal government more revenue, because people, we're not a nation of savers, folks, as anybody understood that. So we didn't put it in the bank. We spent it. We went down to Wally World, or we bought new cars or new suits or new something. We're not a nation of savers. But if you look at the actuary charts, actually the amount of money going into the Fed because of those tax cuts, I've got to say George Bush was right on the tax cuts, but those are going to be done away with. Gentlemen, just for the heck of it, what would be your number one cut to make up for that difference, for that $607 billion?
The Federal Reserve Bank, I mean, if you take a look at the national budget, what is it, $1.5 trillion is the budget?
Yeah.
Get rid of the Federal Reserve Bank, number one. Number two, if you take a look at where most of the money goes, it's interest payments on the debt that we incurred, for the most part, on our currency. So first thing you got to do if you really want to get serious about this is you got to get rid of the Federal Reserve, and then second thing is you got to repudiate the debt to the bankers. It's just that simple. Once we do that, then we have something to talk about. As long as we're talking about a $1.5 trillion budget, and they're giving away $16 to $32 trillion to foreign banks, then we're trying to put a cork in Niagara Falls here, and it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Andy, what cuts would you make? What would be the primary cut?
Well, I mean, the primary cut would be to cut the defense. I mean, that's clearly the number one item after Medicare and Social Security, which, of course, even after all these budget cuts, they're never going to touch. They still won't help people because they're not inflation adjusted, but there's no way that they're going to cut them. But, of course, the best thing you could do is the defense because it's completely unproductive, but they'll never do that. But on top of that, all these cuts aren't going to happen anyway because in an economy that's this bad, if you cut anything, you're going to be raising unemployment and causing more problems. We already have half the nation that are on entitlements that'll just go up. Plus, if you're going to raise taxes on anyone, I don't care if it's the richest people, you're going to have a weaker economy. You're going to have less spending. You're going to have less capital investment. So they can bluster all they want. But even that $607 billion you're talking about, that's not over 1 year. That's over many years. It wouldn't make any difference anyway whether we have a deficit of $900 billion or $1.2 trillion or $1.5 trillion. It's all the same. We're going to have all the same problems either way.
Well,
and yeah.
I was just going to say, for all this blustering coming out of Washington, D.C., the banking crisis, revenues are down, I have not seen. Now, I think, correct me, gentlemen, if I'm wrong, through the first 4 years in the Obama administration, the Democrats never officially gave a budget plan. In other words, there wasn't one. And so now we're into the second term here. Well, not officially until after January 1, the second coming of Mr. Hope and Change. And, things have changed, folks. And let's give credit to Mr. Obama. Things have changed. There has been a change. Things have gotten worse. Has there been a change on a hope level? Yeah, there's more hopelessness out there. But what I really find, aside from the vote fixing that went on out there, what really troubled me, and I didn't get your take on, Andy, I didn't get your take on the Obama election. What I took away from this was just the mere fact that people were voting this guy. They put it at a 50-50 popular vote split. But what bothers me is the amount of people on the tested commodity went right back into Stupidville and voted for him again. I'll get your take on that, and we'll take your calls at 800-313-9443 on the National Intel Report. I'm your host, John Statmiller. Got Paul Drockton here and ranting Andy Hoffman. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
With financial uncertainty circling the globe due to job losses, decline in the housing market, a climate of corruption, bailouts, currency rigging, and unfair competition, many are once more turning to precious metals as the only hedge against the uncertainty of the future. With the U.S. House conducting hearings on proposals to confiscate workers' personal retirement accounts, including 401ks and IRAs, this is the time to secure your assets. Call Republic Trading Group today, 800-691-7898, before this happens, and find out how easy it is to convert your existing IRA and, in some instances, your 401k plan into real wealth now. Don't let the ravages of hyperinflation caused by the massive increase of fiat currency now flooding world markets affect your retirement account. Call RTG at 800-691-7898 and experience the security and peace of mind that only real gold and silver can offer. That number again is 800-691-7898. Call now.
An effective 100% organic nutritional supplement is now available to be shipped out to you rush delivery. Heart and Body Extract is a 100% natural, organic, and wild-crafted formula made out of garlic, hawthorn berries, hawthorn leaves, coleus, motherwort, bilberry, butcher's broomkill, mistletoe, ginger, and cayenne pepper. It is an excellent formula designed to balance and support the heart and circulatory system. It is extremely effective and starts to work within days. Order your 2-month supply by visiting heartandbody.com or by calling 866-295-5305. 866-295-5305. Take the high road to a long and happy life. Heartandbody.com.
There are many water filters to choose from, but there is only one system that is consistently customer rated 5 stars as the #1 system for effective filtration of fluoride, radiation, drug residues, heavy metals, a wide range of radioisotopes, and more. Introducing the Pure Effect Ultra, the next generation water filter that also raises alkaline pH, improves antioxidant potential, and has advanced anti-radiation technology, all while using no electricity. Sold worldwide, it provides virtually instant clean water on demand. It is not made in China, and the shipping is free to all 50 states. Buy your Pure Effect Ultra today by visiting pureeffectfilters.com. or call 888-891-4821. Again, that's 888-891-4821. Or visit pureeffectfilters.com.
You're tuned in to the National Intel Report, the Real Talk Radio Show.
Well, I'll tell you how, maybe this will answer the question I asked before the break. Reverend Jackson of Rainbow Push was in Chicago, and he made the statement, "We're happy and full of pride," on the president's reelection. This past Saturday morning at the forum, he said that, but our houses remain raggedy. Our schools remain closed. Well, what difference does it make? Because in Detroit, 50% illiteracy. When the schools were open, they weren't there learning how to read and write. So we'll just leave that one go for the time being. He said, despite attempts at voter suppression in such states, now this is this is Jackson saying this, suppression in Ohio, Pennsylvania, Florida. He says blacks turned out en masse to vote, and during waits that stretched into hours, we waited, we voted, we believed. Now we want to get well. We voted early, we voted long, our votes won. One thing he left out of there is how many times did you vote? But Jackson, who spoke longer and louder and more forcefully than he has in some time, he says, what do we want? We want, we deserve a return on our investment. What's good for us is good for everybody. What's good for blacks is good for everybody. We bled too much, we died too young, we cried too much, we prayed too long. Now we want a return on our investment. And he says, I mean, we're talking bailouts, ladies and gentlemen. You heard Andy Hoffman. You know, we're ranging almost to 50% governmental entitlements, food stamps, welfare checks, whatever, unemployment checks. This stuff is not going to last for long. And when you got a government monetizing its own debt, this cannot continue. The only thing, and I don't give a damn interbank lending, I don't care if it's zero. I don't care. Because what is being borrowed is being put on the tab of the already extended red ledger that we, the people, are now holding. And we're supposed to have faith in the federal government. We're supposed to have faith in our banks. They have broken the trust with all Americans, and some of them don't realize it. The only thing they realize is being given handouts from somebody else in order to survive. By the way, he said black Americans also need access to capital, saying it's cruel to say jump in the pool when there's no water. Well, Jesse, I'll tell you what, if I was around a swimming pool and there was water, you jumped in. If you were drowning, I would sit there and cheer. Let's go to the... Yeah, go ahead.
I say he is... How can I explain? These people divide and conquer. I mean, they want us to focus on everybody but them. And so they put these goofballs out there. They promote them in the media so that everybody looks at them and says, this guy's the problem. Instead of realizing the real problem is the 1% that basically is giving pennies to the masses while at the same time they're stealing trillions through the Federal Reserve Bank. So the American people we need to wake up and realize that these puppets that are out there like Jesse Jackson, they're just there for sheer weapons of mass distraction.
Well, he said we're the new mainstream. We are the America of shared hopes and shared dreams. We have the power, we have the votes. We waited, we voted, we believed, and now we want to get well.
Yeah, they're Romney's 47%, and you know, while that statement that he made was just unbelievably insensitive, possibly the dumbest political campaign speech I've ever heard, because obviously someone's going to pick it up. He was right on many counts. There's a lot of people out there who must vote with the most socialist group. In fact, for weeks I've been predicting Obama would win for the very reason I said, look, Clinton in 1992 made up the campaign thing, it's the economy's stupid, which simply means that if the economy's bad, you vote out the incumbent. But today it means something completely different. When you're in an entitlement nation like America, it means that people know they have no hope and that they need as many entitlements as possible. And they are going to vote with the most socialist, or at least the candidate that's perceived to be the most socialist. And that's why I had no doubt that Obama was going to win. I had no idea by how much. And, you know, look, we not only did we vote in Obama, we kept the Senate where it was. The Democrats even gained seats in the House. Clearly, we're going for broke with printing money and socialism until we have hyperinflation.
Can't vote against Santa Claus.
Right.
Okay. All right, let's go to the phones. Mark in Texas. Hello, Mark.
And putting up another Bob Dole didn't help a whole lot either.
Man, brother.
Now, here's the thing. The media's come up with that term financial cliff. We ain't falling off a financial cliff. We're being pushed into an investment bankster's black hole.
Yeah.
I think that this fiscal cliff stuff is nothing but a diversionary tactic. But
what it's actually doing, it's pulling the people's attention away from the greater debt by saying that the government has to function. You know, the implied thing here is if we don't have a budget, we can't mail out your unemployment checks. You know, the welfare checks may be late, the food stamps might be delayed. So what we need to do is to end this fiscal cliff by now the Republicans joining with the Democrats to get with Obama to come up with some grand plan. And look, I am not the world's leading economist. I'm actually pretty crappy. Well, I'm good with standard math, but when you get into algebra and trigonometry and things like that, I pretty much suck at it. But it doesn't take an absolute genius to figure out that when you are in a position that your goes outa exceeds by many fold your goes inda, something's got to give. Now, the normal thing to do would be to make budgetary cuts. Gentlemen, what did the IMF, what did Germany, what did all of Europe say to Greece? Well, look, you're basically overspending here, so you've got to do these cuts. These people got accustomed to the government handout in Greece. They don't want that gone. And unfortunately, the same thing is happening here in this country, but we're not talking, we're only talking survival here. Maybe to pay a rent, buy some groceries, do whatever.
Yeah, and that's true, but the reality is that while they were going for austerity in Greece, they were also robbing Greece blind with their bailout package.
Yeah,
completely.
I mean, if you take a look at what they did to Europe, the IMF lends money, but they require repayment in gold. So Italy lost its gold reserves. Greece.
Wait, stop right there. They demand, they're given whatever euros. Okay, that's negotiated, but they've got to repay in gold. Well, could that be one of the reasons why gold is being held down, because these guys want their repayment? Because, and Andy, I think I knew where you were going with this one. If gold increases in value, how do they make the repayment? Do they make an adjustment on that, or do they just go euro for gold or whatever?
Well, I don't know. Okay, go on, Paul.
No, go ahead.
Why I don't know that how much of Italy's gold or Greece's gold is gone. Obviously, the bankers want as much as possible, but the Greeks have also made it clear you can't have our gold. Whether they actually still have it, though, we'll never know. But look, what's turned out with Greece? Remember, a year ago the world almost fell apart because of it, and now somehow it's been forgotten. It's still there. They still have $500 billion of debt. They're at the point right now where they have 27% unemployment and 70% unemployment for young people. Half of the nation's businesses have closed up. This is only about simply keeping them in the euro so they don't have to default on that $500 billion of payment. But as you see, the pro austerity group barely won the elections in June, and if they had the elections today, they would lose. And now you're seeing some real extremist groups that are getting very powerful, like they're like the neo-Nazis. So I don't think it's much longer before the social unrest overturns this pro-austerity banker group. I still think Greece is the number one likely fuse of the entire big one blowing up, because they're simply on the verge of social revolution there.
Mark, anything else?
Italy shouldn't have a problem if they want repayment in gold. They could just privatize the Vatican. But anyway, back to the real question. I'm starting to hear rumors again. I mean, they're pulling all the strings now. It's going to the federal sales tax, of course, do away with income. You can't. It's unbelievable what we're fixing to hear. But anyway, let's get down to. I think we need to have this discussion because the SEC ain't going to do it. Is there anything we should keep off the list of financialized?
Keep it all off if it's paper. I mean, if it's stocks, bonds. I mean, people that are not investing in precious metals right now, they're going to be out of luck. I mean, we've seen the disappearance of 100-ounce silver bars. We've seen the disappearance of Krugerrands. This is last week. We see that fractional Canadian maples are no longer available, and it's 90% silver has already disappeared a couple of times in the last couple of years.
But the thing I'm trying to get at is, Paul, you were right when you said, as far as why were the markets down. The real traders that do this for a living, they don't care which way it goes, just as long as it goes. They're going to make money. They don't care. But here's the thing. Let's take that same mindset. It's just got to go. We need to take some of the staples of life off the exchange-traded funds list. What they're doing, they're breaking us by manipulating with futures and options what we pay for the standards of life. These folks, I guarantee you right now, it ain't just kidneys out of pigs that they're trading down there. Yeah, I guarantee you with another year, they're going to be trading kidneys out of us. And there's going to be the next ETF.
That might
it's a commodity, don't you know?
That might be a quote of the day for my next rant. Look, the fact is, the future is that, look, there's a completely different market between the paper market and the physical market. You're absolutely right. It's not going away. Algorithms are now 75% of all trades on the New York Stock Exchange. Hedge funds are drying up left and right. In fact, the biggest two holdings of hedge funds this year, which were already miserably underperforming the market going into the fall, were Apple and Google, which have now been destroyed. So you're going to see less and less traders, less and less investors, all algorithms. Number one algorithm trader is Goldman Sachs, so that means the government is controlling all this. And yes, they manipulate the things that we use in life, like oil and of course gold and silver and food. But we've seen, as Paul said before, we've seen massive separations between the physical and the paper before, and we're going to see it again, and we're going to see it in such strong, powerful ways that those paper markets are eventually just going to break in half. It's like the pressure on the Titanic when it was going down and both sides split. That's what's going to happen, and you won't see, maybe it's next year, 2 years, you won't see futures markets anymore. There'll be cash and carry.
I think that, Andy, I think you're 100% right, and I think what's going to bring it about is the individuals that actually own the commodities are going to be staring double-digit inflation in the face and say, why in the heck would I want to go ahead and do a contract on my commodity at today's prices when if I wait until I actually have the commodity, I can get what it's really worth at that time. It doesn't make sense in an inflationary environment for farmers or for anybody else to go ahead and sell the underlying commodity that they write these futures contracts against. So it's a double. These people are staring at it, and there's just no way around it. And I think what we're going to end up with, and I keep saying this, is we're going to end up with localized economies. I mean, that's just basically how we're going to have to function.
Yeah, put it this way. I work as marketing director for one of the largest bullion dealers in the country. About 1% of our revenues are buybacks, meaning customers selling to us. No one sells to us. In 2008 and 2009, when the paper prices were really going down, I mean, no one was selling to us. So it's all a sham. People buy and they hold gold and silver coins. They never, ever sell them. It's all paper. And eventually, look, you're seeing big premiums right now between paper and physical, and eventually, probably sooner than you think, there'll be no more paper markets.
Well, if the government needs more money and they decide 10, 15%, whatever sales tax, there's only one way that the stuff that we actually need to survive is going to go.
Won't happen. Won't happen. You won't see it. I'll tell you why you won't see a sales tax, national sales tax, is because of the writings of a man named Jude Wanniski, who was Reagan's favorite economist, and he wrote about the relationship between higher taxes and the black market. And his thesis was brilliant. And it's simply this: the higher taxes go, the more likely people are going to basically do business outside of the government's ability to collect revenue, and it's that simple. So if they go ahead and go with a 15% sales tax, mark my word, you're going to see street fairs where you're going to be able to buy stuff and not pay tax on it. I saw it in South America, and that's exactly what you're going to end up with here.
And we'll be a currency-less society because it'll go digital.
Yeah, but
period.
But you know what? Even Homeland Security's own website about Hurricane Sandy, they were urging people to send cash. They don't want us dealing with cash with anything else. They've been winnowing that idea of cash in pocket is better than stuff on plastic. But how the tables have turned, because cash is readily negotiable. And the Red Cross was asking for cash. Homeland Security was asking for cash. FEMA, with all of their camps that they wouldn't open up to these poor people that were in tent cities when they told them they were going to go to hotels and at least have a bed.
The hotels were full. They were full of FEMA employees.
Yeah, and the FEMA employees should have been at the sites that supposedly were being prepared for the people and to see if they could survive that one.
Enjoy it, guys.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, Mark. But there's a problem I have with that as well. The people in New York City alone, some 12-plus million people, did they have anything to survive on? Some people had generators, but I've been to the apartment complexes in New York City. You can't run a generator. You'll gas yourself to death. But there were people that had water stored. They had emergency lighting. They had their candles. They had their food. They didn't panic. They grabbed an extra blanket or two and sat down and rode this damn thing out. What I saw was a lot of people that wouldn't have the slightest idea or clue what to do if something bad happens, and it did. And I hope this further underscores and illustrates to people that this whole idea about FEMA camps is for natural disasters. Look, 6 years ago we had Katrina. Do we need to remind everybody what a lousy job FEMA did with even getting water to the people down in New Orleans? And damn it, folks, it gets hot down in the South. It'll kill you. The heat and humidity will kill you faster than not having any food. 6 years later, here we are. FEMA fails miserably again because it was supposed to, because it is only designed for continuity of government in case of martial law ad nauseum. Are you paying attention, folks? By the way, Andy, I was just told that my second-hour guest had canceled here. I guess he had an emergency that popped up. Can you stick with us a little bit longer?
A little bit longer, not an hour, though.
Okay, that's great. All right, we'll take the break. We'll be right back.
Hey, meat eaters, the freeze-dry guy wants to know, does your emergency food supply meet the standards for survival? Then get the 144-day meat variety unit from the freeze-dry guy. Our meat units utilize only quality Mountain House freeze-dried cooked ground chicken and ground beef, the undisputed choice for great taste and highest nutrition. The freeze-dry guy's 144-day meat variety unit includes 6 number 10 cans of the very best freeze-dried animal protein for power you'll need when the going gets tough. Every Meat Eater's 144-day meat variety unit comes with a free medical kit and always free shipping to the lower 48. Need more than 144 days? See our 1-year plus Meat Eater's units at freezedryguy.com. And hey, the Freeze Dry Guy still has LRP rations, but they're going fast. Don't wait until tomorrow. Call now, 866-404-3663. That's 866-404-3663. Or go to freezedryguy.com and meet the standards for survival.
Hey there, my name is Frank Bates. What I'm about to tell you in the next 60 seconds could get me in a lot of trouble. I just created a free video presentation at 123crooks.com that exposes the electricity monopolies and government agencies for what they really are. Incompetent, lying crooks that are counting on your ignorance and fear to keep your power bills criminally high. Some have called this a conspiracy. Others have called it a cover-up. And you'll be shocked to find out how deep the conspiracy goes. My video at 123crooks.com exposes the truth and shows you the secret of how I beat them and how you can beat them too. Watch the controversial video that thousands of other smart patriots have already seen in the last 3 months. Go to 123crooks.com and discover one weird trick to slash your power bill and protect your home. Go watch my video now at 123crooks.com before they force me to shut it down. 123crooks.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Wasn't that the idea when we started out? In school, that's what they said the Constitution was about. Wasn't that the idea when we started out?
All right, we are back. I was going to save this into the next hour, but this serves, gentlemen, as being a barometer of how angry and disillusioned people are. And this is straight out of the Huffington Post. We've been posting this on the website the last couple of days. There are petitions that are going around and being sent to the White House on the We the People White House website. And they're petitioning the government to let their people go. Now, there's more than 30 states, according to the Huffington Post, more than 30 states file secession petitions. Threshold of 25,000 signatures, it explains, must be met within 30 days for the petitions to be reviewed. Well, here in Texas, as of this morning, and from what I understand, it's now exceeded 70,000 signatures on these petitions. From Arlington, Texas, the petition that was filed had nearly 60,000 signatures as of, as I said this morning, but that has grown. And this is what it said, and I can't argue with the verbiage, but it's the approach that's being taken here. But as a barometer of how fast this is moving, tells you the pissosity level of the people that are out here. From Texas, this is what was sent over. The U.S. continues to suffer economic difficulties stemming from the federal government's neglect to reform domestic and foreign spending. The citizens of the U.S. suffer from blatant abuses of their rights, such as the NDAA and TSA. Given that the state of Texas maintains a balanced budget and is the 15th largest economy in the world, it is practically feasible for Texas to withdraw from the Union, and to do so would protect its citizens' standard of living and resecure their rights and liberties in accordance with the original ideas and beliefs of our founding fathers, which no longer are being reflected by the federal government. Now, according to the story, a Texas GOP official who called for an amicable divorce from the United States last week, secession is not in the cards for the Lone Star State. And this is what Governor Perry's press secretary put out to the Dallas Morning News. Governor Rick Perry sought to distance himself from the petition on Monday. The Dallas Morning News reported that Republican governor's press secretary wrote in an email, Governor Perry believes in the greatness of our union and nothing should be done to change it. But he also shares the frustration of many Americans have with our federal government. The list so far: Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Jersey, New Jersey, I should say, New York, Nevada, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming. Now, is sending over a petition, whether you have 25,000 or 250,000 on a petition to this is being reviewed by their White House staff, people that take care of emails, by the way. This is going to change nothing, but at least it is letting Barack Obama, could you imagine Barack Obama getting a brief on this from some press secretary in the White House? Hey, Mr. President, we got 30 petitions now from 30 different states saying they want out of the Union. This has got to make the man feel a little bit uncomfortable.
Well, I wrote a piece in August of 2011 called Unprecedented, and we'll talk about that after the break, I guess.
Very good. And Paul Drockton, you got to stick around with me for a little while longer. I know you are prepared, and I know you hit your mute button. So at any rate, we'll take the break here, top of the hour break on the National Intel Report, carrying into the next hour, at least for a little while, Andy Hoffman, Paul Drockton, and myself, John Statmiller. We'll be right back. About a minute and a half. Stick around.